the size of your question you start asking yourself will absolutely correlate with the size of your success. Ask little instant gratification questions, you're going to get little bits of success. Ask the great big conceptual questions, you're going to get great big doses of success.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
And we're back.
Another episode of He Said, She Said.
And are you back with a glossy tip?
You know, my glossy tip is to remember that your skin is such a result of what we're eating and how we're taking care of our health, and especially our gut health. Because so many people don't realize that if you have a lot of inflammation from the food you're eating or a gut you have not been paying attention to, then that's going to show up on your skin. And it can show up a lot as acne, rosacea, eczema. And of course, there's multiple ways to treat that, but also really paying attention to what you're putting in your gut is huge. They're tying so much to how important it is to treat the gut as well as topical.
Yeah, it starts inside. I mean, listen, that's not a new concept, but glossy as a tool is one of the newer concepts that literally allows you to look the way you want to look outside because you get your insides healthy and feeling good, right? Mm-hmm. Skin routine you can drink. It's the most brilliant thing on the planet. Kudos to you for doing it. Obviously, that's why it's popular. And our listeners get a hookup. What do they get?
They get 25% off, which is actually insane that we do that on here, you guys. So you can go to getglossy.com and start your subscription for 25% off using code HAPPY.
Get Glossy is getglossy, GLOCI.com, and 25% off using coupon code HAPPY. Okay. So, yesterday morning, you came out and I was already on a Zoom. When I say you came out, you came out of the bedroom, you just woke up. I was already on an early Zoom with a billionaire and my business partner because they're on the East Coast and us West Coasters have to suffer.
And billionaires just get up early.
Yep, whatever they want. And you were kind of listening to some of the bigger questions that we were asking ourselves and that we're having conversations around. And then when I was done with that meeting, you were like, wow, there's such a difference in the kind of questions that somebody asks when they're at those levels. And that's what I wanted to talk about today is the difference maker in those that are really successful right now at any level and those that kind of continue to be stuck or struggle despite being well-intentioned, hardworking, good individuals is the size and type of the question that they're asking. Now, this, again, isn't kind of a new concept. But this is a hit you between the eyes concept because you're going to realize in a minute that you're probably asking smaller in the moment questions instead of larger conceptual questions. And the truth is this, we just don't spend enough time thinking about the great big questions because we're so busy trying to solve the small questions, right? Mm-hmm. Oh God, I'm hungry. What should I eat? Oh God, I'm running late. What should I grab? Oh gosh, we need to pay the rent. How can we make some money real quick, right? I understand it. We're living in a reactive world as humans. Like the world has become so expensive, so busy, so everything that it forces you to, in the moment, ask the really small instant gratification question. But see, this is the trap. Mm-hmm. This is the spiral. This is where you just get stuck in the same circle over and over, the same loop over and over again, solving these tiny questions so you'll never, ever get out of it. Like this is the wake up call. This is why I wanted to have this conversation. If you find yourself always being like, I'm starving, what should I eat right now? Or rent is due, where should I get the money from? Or I'm in this funk, how can I get out of it at this moment? Or what should we watch tonight? Mm-hmm. If you find yourself always asking those questions, you're never going to break the cycle that's holding you down. And you're going to keep working hard. You're going to keep having big goals, you're going to, in theory, be doing a lot of the right things, but never get out of the rat race. And so what does getting out of the rat race look like?
This reminds me of the book 10x is easier than 2x.
That's right.
Just because this also reminds me of what we would always say to ourselves on our walks around the lake when we were trying to get out of debt and when we had gone through our financial loss and we lost everything. And we would say, how do we get bigger than this problem? So instead of just trying to solve this one problem, how do we get bigger than this problem so that this problem doesn't seem so big anymore? Meaning, how do we expand our skill sets? So I want you to go through some of the questions.
Yeah, I mean, what a great example. I love that you brought that up. So, a lot of new listeners might forget in 2008, 2009, 2010, we had to start from way below zero, right? When the recession hit and I was in banking and we are living beyond our means and had to sell absolutely everything on Craigslist. And people were coming to the front door and taking our couch and taking our tables and taking our everything, leaving us with just
for
cash
pennies on the dollar, literally.
Exactly.
For furniture we just bought. That was so heartbreaking.
Totally in debt, everything. So what were we doing in that moment? You nailed it. We were walking around the lakes in Minneapolis, trying to figure out what's going to be our comeback. And instead of saying, how do we pay the rent this month? We were saying, how do we never end up here again?
Yeah. Instead of saying, how do we just borrow this money or figure this out or get a loan? We were like, how in the hell? Okay. Like triage for sure. We were definitely triaging. Like, how do we just figure out the next month? You guys, that rocked us at such a cellular level. I can't even tell you. If you don't know the full story, we'll tell it another time. And we've told it before, but it was so devastating and so embarrassing. Some of the things that happened that we were in such a place of how does this never happen again? That's the question we were asking. And so this question came in, I don't know where we heard it, but we started saying to ourselves every day, how do we get bigger than this entire problem?
I want to stay on this, how do you pay the rent question, right? Because we were literally paying rent back then.
Yeah.
And so I remember very specifically, we were on the north side of Lake Calhoun. They've renamed it. I forget what the hell it's called now. And you had just started you had your gym for a little while and you had just started your monthly fitness plan.
Yep.
And we had the balls to ask, okay, what would it look like to make $1 million? And now for context, the highest earning year we ever had when I was an executive in banking prior to that, before the recession, was about 300 grand. And in the Midwest 15 years ago, that was a ton of money.
That felt like $1 million.
Right? But never in a million years ever asked ourselves a question, okay, what would it look like to make $1 million? And then to ask yourself that question when you're in your darkest moment, buried in debt, living in a mother-in-law suite that you're renting. Come on, nobody asked that question in that moment except we did. And so we're on the north side of Lake Calhoun. We're coming around the corner. I remember being like, babe, okay, this thing could scale infinitely. What would it look like? How do we make $1 million? And then I remember saying, okay, that's only $83,000 a month. And when I say only, I'm laughing because remember, I just described our situation. Right? But how much is that a week? Okay, that's $20,000 a week. Okay, how much is that a day? All right, it's around 2,500 or whether the math is 2,750 a day. All right, how could we get there? Oh, we would need to sign up this many people to get to this per month. And then we would add that to what you're making at the gym. And then if I brought in this much from the mortgage bank, right? Because I took that partnership and we pieced together this fictional bullshit pie in the sky plan of how we could make $83,000 in a month. But because we had the cojones to ask that question in that moment, a year later was our first $1 million income year.
And we also, I don't remember how or why, but we started to understand the concept that you need to meet people who are doing it. When I really started to scale that online membership, I remember us being like, who's already doing this? Okay, there's proof that it can be done. I'm not necessarily any different than those people when they started doing it. And then we also had your brother fly out to a friend of ours who was doing it to learn more about how they grew their membership. Because we're like, okay, well, we need to learn from these people who are doing it. Who do we know who's doing this right now so that we can learn from them? you have to stop making yourself different from the people doing it. And you really need to look at like their beginning story. This was so helpful for me. I remember when Marie Forleo was like huge on YouTube and she was like crushing it and doing so good with videos. I remember going back and searching her original videos and being like, show me her beginning, and going, oh, her beginning looks really messy and it's not that great. That made me feel so empowered. So that was one of the things that I did to make myself remember, okay, this is possible.
Yeah, listen to those questions that you asked. Who do we know that's already doing this? And then we sent Nick to go learn from them. Who do we know that we could just go watch on YouTube? And you start watching, right? So that's the bigger question. Not how do I pay rent this month? But if I had to make $1 million, how would I make it? Great. Who do I know that's making it? Great. What part of that can I mimic?
Yeah,
those are the
what
kind of
skill
questions.
set do we need? If we can't do it, who could do it for us? How could we figure this out?
And this trickles into every part of life. This trickles into your health and fitness. So instead of asking, I don't know, what should I eat today? Or the worst is when you're hungry. Oh my God, I'm starving. What should I eat right now? Ask yourself, what would the energized, healthy, great looking version of myself choose right now? Or
and they would
choose
have
to eat every day?
pre-planned.
Yep. And they would have
They
pre-planned.
would have pre-planned on Sunday and had that fridge stocked.
But all it is changing the question to a bigger one. Instead of asking, how do I get out of this funk? Or how do I get out of this bad spot? Ask yourself, what would I be doing every single day if I was living my ideal life and refused to live anything else from here on out? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or instead of asking, what should I watch tonight? We do that still. What should we watch tonight? Ask yourself, what would it look like this evening if I was already aggressively building my dreams?
And we've asked ourselves that because yes, trust me, we love to totally unplug to a Netflix show. We are obsessed with it. But also Chris and I are like, okay, we're in a place where we need to get to the next level, like a massive next level. So we've been saying, okay, we have to work on weekends. So if we are done at night, when can we work? Okay, well, we get 2 extra days on the weekend. So that's what we've been doing, is trying to work every single weekend to get to the next level.
Yeah, guys, the bottom line is this. The size of your question you start asking yourself will absolutely correlate with the size of your success. Ask little instant gratification questions. You're going to get little bits of success. Ask the great big conceptual questions. You're going to get great big doses of success.
No more small questions. If you find yourself asking them, literally say, okay, what is the bigger question I'm supposed to be asking myself, and ponder that.
Yeah. If you want help with this and you're earning more than $250,000 a year, I take one-on-one clients. I've got a couple of contracts expiring. Go to chrisharder.me/coaching. Again, that is chrisharder.me.me/coaching. Fill out the really quick app and you and I'll have a chat to see if it's a good fit. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, we will talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.